Happy to be joined by Adrian Yanez, who's taking on Jonathan Martinez this Saturday at UFC Fight Night. The reason I put an emphasis on that is we started before this, and I said it was Chris Gutierrez, so my mistake. And we'll talk about your real opponent now. Jonathan Martinez, he's been looking really good as of late, really a solid striker. And I personally think this comes down to boxing. And if that's the case, you're going to be a very difficult guy for him to beat.
Oh yeah, nah. My boxing is one of the best in the division, if not the best. But I got to go out there and prove it. So for me, it's an exciting fight. I'm really excited. This is gonna be fun. Sucks that I like Jonathan, but at the same time, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna definitely be fun. I think they should get the $50,000 bonus checks ready for the both of us.
You say you like Jonathan. Have you trained with him or anything before? What's your relationship with him like?
No, it was actually funny. We never trained with each other. The first time I met him was at International Fight Week, and like we just ended up just hitting it off. Like we're like talking. It started like we're just talking, and out of nowhere we started showing each other's kids and all that stuff, and it just ended up being like a really cool, like being a really cool, solid dude. And it was just like somebody like, hey, you know what, like. If he was in Houston, we'd be friends. We'd be like active friends. Like I'd be going, to the bar with him or something, So for me, it sucks because he's a cool guy. I like what he's doing with his hometown. He got the gym out there. You know, like he's like showing like he showed me a video of him like his kid doing martial arts and all that stuff. So like I was like, damn man, like I didn't want to fight this guy because I like this guy a lot. He's in showed me videos of his kids, man. I showed him a video of my kid, like bro, like God. Yeah, that's the sucky part about the fight game, but it is what it is. We both say yes, and we're both the type to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Well, that's also the reason why you guys would become friends. I mean, you guys are bonded together by being part of the same sport. I think you guys both have the same manager, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a lot of different things that would make you want to be friends with people in this business. But at the same time, if you're on the opposite cage from the other person, it's kind of the opposite of friendship. At that point in time, you have to sort of put it aside. It's not like this is a guy you're training with day in and day out. But at the same time, that is unfortunate that you and him have kind of just met and started to get along.
Yeah, no, that does suck. It does suck, but at the same time, again, it is the business. It is the business that we want to fight. That we want to fight. And unfortunately, we're both in the same weight class, ranked literally just one spot difference. So for me, it's a great matchup. It's a great matchup for him as well too. Like there's big implications after this, because we're trying to break into the top 10. Especially for me, I'm trying to break into the top 10, trying to get another win streak going.
And also coming off of your first loss and sometime your first UFC loss, did that sting differently than your previous losses? Nobody likes losing in general, but was there a different feeling at all to that one?
Oh, 100%. And it was a way different feeling. Like it always sucks losing, but the stakes that I've always like it at the points of times that I lost in my career, at that moment, it always felt like it always sucked. And it was always at the highest point of my career at those times. Like my first professional loss, like that one really sucked. Because I was just getting started and I was like, I thought a loss kind of ruined it, and I was just like, you know, ruined plans. Then my next loss, a split decision loss that I thought I won. Then I was like, man, I was in the back kicking myself, just being like, man, the UFC will never want me and all this stuff. Like I was right there. And then my next fight against Miles Johns, I lose a close split decision. Same exact thing, but that one was a little bit different in the sense of like I couldn't blame anybody but in all my losses, I couldn't blame anybody but myself. But in that final loss, I was able to kind of see that like, nah, it's all been me. I didn't push hard enough in this fight. And that one took a toll on me in a different way. And that set me on like a 9-fight win streak right after that because the mentality shift. And that same thing with the Font fight. Like I saw where everything was at. Like biggest pay-per-view event of the year, at least so far right now. Biggest opponent I've ever fought, like in the sense of like number wise rankings and all that stuff, like the highest profile guy I've ever fought. And then at the biggest stage, like going back to Miami, after 20 or 20 plus years, and it going down like that, like yeah, like because of me, like I fucked up, I messed up and got away from what I was supposed to be doing. Yeah, it hurt, and especially for the like the result and how it happened, that also kind of took a bit out of me too as well too, because you know Yeah, it sucks. You get like you're like I felt like after that fight it was gonna be another like step up where I'm like literally a fight away from title contention. So for me, like that was a big like it hurt a lot, but at the same time it gave me a big like learning lesson. I'm like it helped set everything forward for what I'm gonna do now.
Now, obviously, it sucks to lose inside the distance. It's the first time you've ever lost inside the distance in a fight. But at the same time, at least if you go back and take a look at it, and you can probably take away a little bit more information than losing a split decision. A split decision, we're talking about a game of inches here in MMA, where I think that fight with Miles Johnson is a 5-round fight. Like, the smallest of things could have shifted that decision. In this situation, you kind of have tangible, I guess, evidence as to why you lost that fight. Is that helpful at least for you? You don't like the result, but at least you can take something away from it that will really help improve your game long term?
Oh yeah, no. It helped me out a lot. Like it brought me back to the basics, and then also at the same time, like it helped me work on my mental because the biggest part of that why I lost was the mental side. Like I ended up getting him hurt and then chasing the knockout and like got mad and got frustrated with myself in those moments whenever he started landing his shots and started making his way back into the fight where I started getting a lot more wild. So for me, I wouldn't end up going into like spaz mode, meathead mode, and end up screwing myself over, because I left so many wide openings. So for me, it was a big learning lesson and a lot of stuff that I could take away from that. A lot of stuff that I was able to kind of build on and actually like oh, like I did this, I was deficient in this area. I need to get better. I need to work on that. So it helped me out a lot.
I think it's also controlled aggression. Like, aggression, in my opinion, for you has been such a valuable tool. You've been able to really utilize that to great success in your career. But then at the same time, if you overcommit to that, it's a lot easier to get caught when you're being a little bit reckless than it is to, I guess, get caught if you take a step back and, pump the brakes a little bit. At the same time, though, when you have something that's working for you, sometimes you don't want to go away from it.
Oh yeah. That's been hard trying to get away from it. Like not really like get away from it, but doing a lot more. The words I've been using is technically and tactfully. Trying to make sure I'm doing everything tactical. I'm trying to make sure that if I'm gonna hit that kill shot, I make sure I hit it, and then just like a sniper would. You hit that one shot, you didn't get the kill shot, but hey, you got to reload, recenter yourself, and you take that shot again. So for me, that's exactly how I've been trying to shift my mindset. Instead of being like, oh, I shot you, I got you with this revolver, and I'm trying to run gun blazes at you with knives. It's just not going to work out. So for me, I'm trying to make sure that like I'm doing everything technically, like super technical. Because if I do that with also my controlled aggression, being controlled, because that's the key word right here, is doing it like controlfully. I'm pretty sure this fight doesn't go the distance.
Now, here's an interesting one for you. Is it possible to train fight or flight? Like, I mean, that's basically what happened during the Rob Font mode. You kind of went into fight or flight, and fighting is what you know, and trying to go toe to toe with somebody is what you know. But in some cases, flight is better if you're able to take that and then kind of hit the reset button. Is it possible to train that? Because when you're sparring with somebody, they're not trying to hurt you, whereas in a real fight, not that sparring isn't a real fight, but when you're facing somebody that's your opponent, there are big stakes, there's money on the line. That's something that I think is going to be very difficult for somebody who's used to responding in a certain way to be a little bit more controlled.
Yeah, honestly that there's been times in sparring beforehand where like someone lands something big, like everybody always try to get the get back. Someone lands a good kick. Usually the first response for somebody else is to land that kick on you back. So I've been trying to do. I've been like making sure that I've stayed within my game plan. Even if something didn't go my way within like an exchange, I'm still going back to what I was supposed to be doing. I'm not trying to like even if I land a good shot, of course we're not trying to hurt each other, not trying to knock each other out, but we've also like would bring in some random people like on a sparring session just so a new guy comes in, that guy's gonna like kind of want to try to prove something, so he is going a little bit harder. So for me, those rounds were essential just because You don't know what the guy's gonna throw. You don't know how hard this guy's gonna go. And then if he throws something hard, he's just like trying to stay cool, calm, and collected even throughout like all the shots he's trying to throw, and he's trying to throw like try to knock somebody's head off. So for me, staying calm, staying within my reason of trying to be technical during the whole entire time, for me has been helpful. And it's helped me out. Like I believe for me, I'm gonna make it work.
What do you do to work on the mental part of your game? I mean, you've experienced a lot of loss in your life. Your father passed away, unfortunately, years ago. Your coach passed away. What do you do to work on yourself and your mentality as an athlete where you've experienced a lot of pain outside of the cage? Not just a loss like this, professional loss in your career, but like losing really important figures in your life.
Oh man, I had to talk to people. Like I couldn't just like sit around and just because I did that for the longest time where I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would just keep myself busy and just keep on working, like and just work, work, work. Like I made myself super busy. It's like after my father passed away, I went super into training, super hard into training, making sure that like everything was good. Especially at that time, I had to get an actual job. I had to get a 9 to 5 job, and like whole life flipped upside down. That happened. Kept myself super busy, working a 9 to 5, going to go train, coming back home. Uh, didn't do well for me because I ended up like going on alcohol bingers all the time. So I wasn't working on it then. And then my coach passes away. I end up being able to uh, do the same thing again, but not go on the bingers that I would, like on the alcohol, like binging and all that stuff. I was surrounded myself with a whole bunch of work. Like the day after his funeral, I flew off here to Vegas to go corner one of my training partners at the time. And I like a couple weeks, like the next day, I'm back in Houston cornering my training partners. So I was consistently keeping myself busy, so I never had time to actually let it sink in. And then after that Davy Grant fight, I actually had some time to myself. I was just like, man, I had to like actually just sit down and actually just like talk about it because I had a lot of pent up emotions, a lot of stuff going on. So once I figured that talking actually does help, and it's not something that uh you can, I guess, be called a sissy or whatever, like, or just a wuss or anything like that, not man up. It's it helps out just talking to somebody. It doesn't matter who it is either. Like you got to have someone that can just hear you out, because sometimes you don't need a response. You just need to talk to somebody, vent it out. And that usually is always help for me. And then being able to talk to the right people for me on my end when it comes to fighting, because of course you can talk to a lot of other people uh, outside the cage, but nobody really understands. So being able to have like my training partners who've gone through stuff like this, my coach who's gone stuff through this, like being able to talk to Ease has been like great, because my coach Eve Edwards, he's here, and being able to talk to him and him give me examples of what's going, like, hey, look, bro, you got to talk about this, like this stuff is going to happen, and kind of, it helped out a lot.
Do you feel like you've had the opportunity to grieve both of those deaths in your life? I mean, grieving is such an important part of loss, where you're able to kind of unpack the emotions that you carry with you on a day to day. And sometimes, like you said, it's a lot easier to try to keep yourself busy and not grieve. It's easier to not grieve than it is to grieve, really. I mean, that's the simple way of putting it. But do you feel like you've properly had the opportunity to grieve those two deaths in your life and be able to, channel strength from that?
I yes and no. Yes, I've been able to grieve in some spots, but I'm not completely totally over it. Like, I don't think I'll ever be able to be completely over it. But yeah, it's tough to deal with. But again, that kind of goes back to like being able to go out and talk to somebody, because again, like that shit sucks. It sucks. So, because you had like two people, like the two again, like I was thinking about it the other day, and then I was like, man, the two people that I want there with me aren't there anymore. So it's like, it kind of does suck in that sense of like, man, like I don't get them anymore. But at the same time, the memories and all that stuff helps me, get past a lot of things. And, you know, they have instilled a lot of the stuff that like instilled a lot of stuff that I do to this day. I can always go back and thank them for it.
I'm certainly glad that you found mechanisms to help you get through. I mean, it's unthinkable trauma that for you to have gone through at such a young age. So it's certainly good that your coach Yves Edwards has been encouraging you to talk to people. So I'm happy to hear that. It's this weekend yourself and Jonathan Martinez. Great matchup. Great speaking with you. Thank you so much for your honesty. It's Adrian Yanez, and I appreciate your time.
Oh man, thank you for saying my last name correctly, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, I said it properly when I spoke to you last as well. Just for the record, when we were in Miami, I said Yanez. I had heard that how it was pronounced, thanks to Luke Thomas, our friend. And it's Yanez from here on out, my friend.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for that.